Hello and welcome to the latest of the Business Spotlight interviews. I'm delighted today to be joined by Tom Chesters from Bay Framing. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Good morning, Rob. Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. Yeah, doing well.
Good. Thank you for joining, and I'm looking forward to hearing about yourself and the business. So, with that in mind, could you just give us a bit of background on that exactly? So your background and the background of the business as well.
Yeah, so Bay Framing is a bespoke picture framing business, which, excuse me, for anyone who doesn't know, basically means that people can bring in their items, whether that's a print, a photograph, piece of embroidery or football shirt, whatever they like, really, and we'll make a custom frame to fit that to their tastes, to their styles, and to their budget. Um, and I've been doing picture framing now for 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And and how long has the business been?
Bay Framing it'll be 10 years in February. So we're just coming up to our 10th anniversary.
Okay.
Trying to think of something to mark the milestone. And so far, so good. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the business. It's really, it's really enlightening to work for yourself. You learn about a lot of things along the way. And it's obviously got its challenges, but I really enjoy it.
Okay. And what was the motivation for starting the business initially?
So previously, I'd worked for other picture framing companies for 10 years. And although I'd enjoyed the job and enjoyed learning skills over the times, there were several reasons, I suppose, why I wanted to work for myself. Primarily, I suppose it was about control, being able to do things in a way that I wanted to do, to standards that I wanted to set, and also being able to make business decisions on my own. You know, having worked in other places previously, good bosses, bad bosses, whatever you want to look at. It's nice to be able to make your own decisions, and whether they reap the benefits or whether they're a mistake, that's on you in the end. But I very much like working off my own back and not having to rely necessarily too much on other people.
Okay.
Partly another motivation for setting up the business was I suffer from poor health, and I didn't like the idea of being unreliable for someone else. I've got Crohn's disease, which
Right.
means that some days I'm not quite as well as I'd like to
Yeah.
be. And so working for myself, if I have a day where I don't feel quite up to scratch, I can take it easy. I can have a cup of tea and just sit there and serve customers rather than doing too much.
Right.
But also I think it was wanting to do something for myself. It's all very well working for someone else. And if you've got a great boss and a great relationship, that's fine. And I did at times where I worked. But
Yeah.
I like the idea of a challenge and setting out on my own.
Okay. Cool. I mean, 10 years is a long time. So, congratulations in terms of, maintaining, businesses that, not many businesses last 10 years. So the fact you're coming up for your 10th anniversary, is testament to obviously what you're doing and, the success of it. So, I mean, what is it about that you enjoy, after 10 years? What is it you enjoy about what you do?
Well, it sounds like a bit of a cliche, I suppose, but every day is a little bit different. We get to see parts of people's lives that I suppose a lot of other people don't do.
Yeah.
We get the good stuff and the bad stuff, whether that's things brought in from a happy event like a wedding or a graduation, or whether it's something at the other end of life and it's something for a funeral. But you get to see a whole spectrum of people coming in with all sorts of different things.
Sure.
And no 2 days are quite the same. Obviously, we frame a lot of similar sort of things over the course of a year, whether that's school class photos or graduation photos or certificates or whatever. We see a whole variety of things on a weekly basis, whether that's, I don't know, antique film posters or what did we frame recently? Framed a road sign recently and a roof slate. And so it's the variety of the business that I like.
Yeah.
And I like interacting with people. I'm slightly prejudiced, but I think people who get things framed, picture framing customers, are generally really nice and interesting people. So it's not just the business interaction, it's sort of personal and social transaction with them as well.
Great. Good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All great reasons to and it's good. So it's quite as you say, specialized. But I mean, what would you say makes you stand out in the sector that you're in from other?
Well, the thing we hear most, I mean, obviously there are plenty of other picture framers around the country, and I wouldn't necessarily that we're the best or the worst of any of them, as everyone else is. The thing we hear most locally from people is that we have a very friendly and welcoming atmosphere. It's something people tend not to know a lot about picture framing, unless it's something you get done on a regular basis. It can be a little bit intimidating. We get customers coming in who haven't had something framed before or haven't had something framed for a long time, and they don't really know what to expect. They might be bringing in a poster they've bought for their child's bedroom, which costs £5, and they simply want to get it on the wall as cheaply as possible. or they might have spent £500 on an original painting in an art exhibition and want to know how to preserve it and to look after it.
Yeah.
And we get people coming in who simply don't have an idea of what things will cost. So we have a very friendly, non-pressured environment in the shop. So if someone comes in and they're just interested in getting a price, that's fine. We're not going to press you to buy anything. So it's one of those things that I think people don't realize it's quite as big an industry as it is. And when I first started doing picture framing, I was baffled by how many suppliers and how many companies there were.
Right.
And then until someone pointed out to me that every room on every wall and every house and hotel and business pretty much everywhere has got a picture on the wall.
Yeah.
So I would say it's the thing that stands us out. Obviously, we like to pride ourselves on quality and workmanship. We do framing for a number of galleries, local museums, local art galleries, and sort of business establishments. But I would say the thing that makes us stand out most is just a friendly and welcoming atmosphere.
Cool, brilliant. And what has that? So over the 10 years, what has that business journey been like for you?
It's been really interesting. It was certainly slightly risky at the start. It was sorry, just my dog wandering around. It was my grandma at the start who encouraged me to sort of take the plunge and go for it, because obviously I had to get a business loan to start up with.
Right.
And fortunately, she's still around, and she told me basically at her stage in life, you look back on people who made a risk and made a leap, and those who hadn't, the ones who had, are generally happier. So she encouraged me to do it. So to begin with, it was just myself. I rented a couple of units. One was like a retail unit for taking and giving out orders, and another was a workshop.
Yeah.
And for the first, as with most businesses, the first 2 or 3 years, we didn't really make any money, made a bit of a loss. And we just survived scraping by on my wife's wages. And she was wonderful. She was very supportive throughout, and realized that it would take a while. We had a family saying of in 5 years, we'll get there. Although the goal keeps changing. So we're still saying in 5 years about other things. Right. So the start of the business, it was hard. I rented a unit in an indoor market, which was freezing and quiet. And then a workshop, which was nice, but very isolated. It was just me there, often working long hours on the days that I wasn't in the market or working evenings. But over time, we built up a reasonable client base. We were getting repeat customers and customers from, rather than just individuals, we we're getting businesses and stuff from the local area.
Right.
And then about 6 years ago, we saw our shop, which is now our shop, up for sale. And we managed to get the money together to get a deposit together for the shop. So 6 years ago, I bought our shop, which is our current premises on Regent Road in Morecambe. And it's been no looking back since then, really. It's a really decent sized shop. We were able to combine everything all under one roof with retail at the front. We've got a gallery and a serving area with workshops and storage behind. And yeah, we're very happy there. I mean, when I moved in, it seemed like an incredibly large space, and now suddenly it feels a bit small. It's very full with different stuff, but it's allowed us to expand our services. We've upgraded machinery. We've got different saws, different mount cutters.
Right.
And the business continued to grow once we moved. We had much more visibility on the street, and I think having a shop front presence, it lends a bit of credence and credibility to a business.
Yep.
And then 3 years ago, we took another risk again on my grandma's advice. So my wife left her job and came to work with me. So she's been working with me for 3 years now, and is obviously still learning the ropes, but she's really enjoying it as well. She was previously working in an admin role, which she enjoyed fine, but she's really reaping the benefits and enjoying being her own boss. We've got an 8-year-old daughter who's at school down the road, so the flexibility for us both working together and for ourselves allows great flexibility for school pickups and drop-offs and all manner of things, and walking the dog who's lying under my feet. So yeah, 10 years has changed massively. It's gone from me being on my own in a cold market to my wife and I working together in a really nice, bright, welcoming shop with all sorts of different customers.
So the moving to the shop was a big catalyst for the growth of the business, was it?
It made a massive difference. Yeah, I think I didn't realize quite how much importance there was, or how much visibility that came from a shop front. The amount of people who would tell us, who come in now and say they were just passing by, whether that's driving past, sitting on the bus, walking past of an evening.
Yeah, sure.
And just being seen, you can't beat the advertising that comes from just having a shop front presence, I think.
Okay. And do you get much inquiries or business online, or is it that people feel like they need to come in and kind of discuss?
I would say the vast majority of our business comes from word of mouth. We do get a reasonable number of inquiries through either our website or social media, but I would say they only make a small percentage of what turns into actual customers. We haven't done any paid advertising for about 7 or 8 years now,
Right.
which maybe is something I should look into at some point again. But
Right.
yeah, word of mouth seems to be king. And it's it's what a friend of mine calls a destination business. It's not like you can't go to Asda or go online to Amazon and get the same
No.
service that we're offering. So once people hear about it, if somebody asks, then it's one of those things that people pass on the information about.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. It's good to hear that, obviously, and that comes down to great service and great, delivery of
Yeah,
products, etc. as well, to get those kind of referrals and recommendations, I guess.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. We're very grateful for a nice customer support base. We have, again, something I didn't realize people did, but obviously you get regular customers with picture framing, whether that's artists or whether that's people with businesses of
Mm.
their own and they're doing decorating or renovation work or whatever. So we
Yeah.
get regular customers, and then we get recommendations. If we get a customer from a local art society, they pass on the word of mouth, and
Hmm.
yeah, it just spreads out very naturally, really.
Great. So, looking ahead into the future, what does that look like for you, and what do you think your main challenges are or will be?
Uh, I haven't got any great plans for the future, to be honest. Challenges at the moment just seem to be the current economic climate.
Mm.
Much as I tell people that they can't live without picture frames, they can do and continue to do so. So over the last couple of years, as across the country, we've seen things beginning to slow down. People are
Right.
watching what they spend more as the cost of living goes through the roof.
Yeah.
But we're happy, as you said, to still be here after 10 years. I think it's quite an achievement, and we're happy to just be continuing for now. So at the moment, we're nothing overly ambitious. We'd like to just continue and consolidate where we are.
Yeah.
In the future, if things begin to improve and pick up again, then perhaps we would consider moving to a slightly larger premises. But at
Right.
the moment, we're very happy where we are.
Okay.
And other than that, no great plans really. I suppose at some point down the line, if we got busy enough, we would consider hiring someone. But at the moment,
Yeah.
there isn't really space within the premises, and two of us are perfectly able to manage the workload.
Sure. So, do you feel like, I mean, looking ahead to potential investment in obviously the area in Morecambe, and obviously with the Eden project, do you see that that is a potential opportunity to, see more footfall, for example, clearly going to be in the town and around?
I'm massively enthusiastic about the project. I think it'd be wonderful for Morecambe. From a
Mm.
personal point of view, for our business, I can't see it making a massive difference. But
No,
that's fine. It doesn't have to just be about us. It could be about the whole
no.
area. We'll probably do some reasonable business, I would have thought, with everybody. Once the first bricks go down, everybody who's got a hotel and B&B will be looking to renovate, tidy up. So
Yeah,
we may
sure.
get business that way. But where we're positioned isn't that close to the town centre in terms of footfall and tourists coming past.
Yeah.
Um, but who knows? Maybe other galleries will open up in town. We'll be able to provide
Yeah.
framing services for them, and lots of artists that we deal with are looking forward to just doing, paintings and images of the Eden project once it happens.
Yeah.
But it can only be good for the area as a whole. We're really looking forward to it.
No, cool. No, absolutely. Yeah, anything like that investment wise is can only be a positive in terms of expanding businesses throughout the area, those connections that get made, and the business growth that comes from it. So yeah, no, it's a good
Absolutely, yeah.
exciting time for Morecambe, obviously directly, and surrounding Lancaster as well, surrounding it, benefit from it as well. So yeah, no, it should be a very exciting time. Cool. So over the 10 years, what would you say have been your biggest learnings as a business owner?
That's a good one. Well, I suppose the cliche is the customer's always right, but the customer also always wants to hear advice as well. So it's quite interesting. We've got a lot of customers who come in who are either overly critical or not critical enough, perhaps, about their own work. So it's quite interesting trying to strike a balance. With if they ask your opinion on something and how they should frame it and whether it's worth framing.
Right.
But we've always found honesty is the best policy. If a cheaper frame looks better than a more expensive one, we'll go with that.
Okay.
In terms of actual things we've learned during the business, and I knew the business itself rather well because I'd already done it for 10 years, albeit for someone else previously. So I haven't learned a massive amount about it. I think the crucial thing I've always found is to try and plan ahead in terms of finances. So we've always tried to keep something in reserve because we own the building and because the machinery and stuff is all ours. So the difference, obviously, with working for someone else is it's not your responsibility. Whereas now, if something breaks tomorrow, we've got to replace it. We can't continue to run the business without a certain piece of equipment.
Sure.
So try and plan ahead for the future and not get too caught up in perhaps how well you're doing at the moment and think about what might come further down the road.
So cash flow projections, those kind of things, is that the kind of stuff you've or just making sure that you've got that money put aside?
Yeah, basically, and it's just about being sensible. I mean, we were
Yeah,
obviously closed down for significant periods during the COVID pandemic.
sure.
So although we received as a small business, we received grants from the government and stuff. It was about making those last and
Mm.
planning for the future. In fact, we spent most of them on repairing the shop roof.
Right, okay.
um, so it's sort of investing in the business all round as a whole, rather than just thinking that everything will continue as roses forever.
Mm.
So yeah, planning for a rainy day, I would say, would be the best thing I've learned.
Okay. It's good advice for any, yeah, absolutely, for any business owner. It's absolutely, crucial to have that kind of, funding, so that anything that you can't, because you can't predict the future, as you say, things can come and go, and
Yeah, yeah.
having that kind of backfill is always really, really important for business and personally as well, right? So,
Mm.
but you can do it, absolutely great. Some great advice. And I guess, would you give any different kind of advice for someone starting up their own business, a young person maybe starting their own business? What kind of advice would you give them from what you?
The thing I think would be just do as much research as possible. Go out and talk. It's a little bit intimidating talking to people, but literally walk down the street, ask
Mm,
people. As soon as they see you're not asking for money, they'll give you
yeah,
5 minutes of their time and ask,
yeah.
do they think it's a viable business? Have they got any suggestions?
Mm,
Um, I always find it interesting looking at the businesses starting up. I love being proven wrong about things. I've got a friend who started a business a few years ago, and I thought she had no chance. I didn't think it was even a business, and she's a
right.
roaring success now. And it's brilliant to be proven wrong.
Cool.
So finding people with expertise, finding people's advice, whether that's friends, family, or just a man on the street.
Yeah.
I would just ask as many people as possible whether they think, firstly, whether they think it's a viable business, and secondly, what they could suggest to make it more successful, what they can suggest to make yourself more well known.
Okay.
Um, and just speak to other local business owners. If you're thinking of setting up in an area, go and talk to the competition. They'll usually be
Yeah.
friendly. Go and talk to nearby businesses, what the area's like, what the streets like. Do all the
Mm.
research you might do as if you were buying a house, I suppose.
Yeah.
Try and
Yeah.
find out everything you can about the area before you put roots down there.
Cool. No, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think it makes market research in whichever format you do it. Is a lot of bigger businesses will do it on a much bigger scale, but like you say, what you can do, and finding out as much as you can to make sure that it's got that commerciality to it, because some great ideas aren't always as commercial as you think they might be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Talking to customers or potential customers is always a great route to giving you that confidence to make the decision to start up. So yeah, no, some
Yeah.
good advice there. Thanks for that. And then in terms of your own personal journey, what's inspired you, or what is inspiring you at the moment, in relation to that?
Well, it sounds a bit cliche, but my daughter, she's 8.5. She's
Mm.
wonderful, and it's sort of a catch-22 because she makes me want to work hard, make the business more of a success, so we can
Oh.
do more things as a family. But on the
Mm.
flip side of that, I want to work less so I can spend more time with
Yeah,
her.
yeah, sure.
But we're very much a family business. So there's my wife and I work there. We have a hanging service, which is basically my dad. He's a retired joiner, so he and I were out hanging a gigantic portrait of the king yesterday together.
Oh, okay.
And then my daughter refers to herself as the boss of the business. In fact, she's even got her own business cards with her name as the boss, and my wife and I as staff.
Nice.
So she comes in and sort of she likes to frame her own pictures and stuff, and help out.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I would say it's mostly her. I just want to provide a better life for her, as good a
Mm.
life as she can have, but also enable myself to spend more time with her as well.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. Nothing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, kids and your own kids are a massive inspiration, aren't they? In terms of
Yeah,
wanting you to achieving for them, and for yourself, but then obviously for them as well, and creating that life that you want them to have. So yeah, and give them best opportunities, isn't it? Which is all what it's about. So yeah, no, fantastic. So if people wanted to find out more about bay framing, where would the best place to go?
well, I'm trying to improve on our social media skills. I'm not the world's
Okay.
most tech savvy person, but in fact, I had a lesson recently in social media, so hopefully it'll be improving. So you can
Nice.
find us under @Bayframing on Instagram, or
Okay.
just search for Bayframing on Facebook. We've also got a website which we're in the process of updating, which is www.bayframing.co.uk. Or if you're in the area, just pop in for a chat and say hello.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I wish you all the best for the future of bay framing, and growing the business, as you see, and hopefully, as you say, things progress and get, people come out of the challenges that we're facing at the moment in the wider economy. Wishing you all the best and success for that for the future.
Thanks, Rob.
All right.
Cheers.
Thanks, Tom. Good to speak to you.
Thank you.
Cheers then. Bye bye.